Now, for some reasons, now this car's DSG is absolutely garbage. The value just falls off a cliff the moment it hit 100,000 kilometers. And this car just sounds, like it's underwhelmed. Now, this is my newly purchased Audi RS3, and it is the bottom of the barrel on the cheaper end, higher mileage RS3. And in this video, I will take you for a drive, give it a tour, show you like the different battle scars that it has. I'll tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it, and then afterwards I'll review what I'm gonna do for this car. Now, later in the video, I will be revealing the price that I paid for this car. Now, I was in the market for an RS3 about a few months ago because seeing there's a few pre-facelifts Audi RS3 came out, and when I saw the price, I was like, you know what, these are actually getting quite cheap. And I decided, you know what, I have to get onto it. But the problem with the pre-facelifts RS3, they are not the desirable ones, and you can find them for high 30s, higher mileage examples, maybe a little bit beat up. You can find them maybe on the mid to low 30s. So like prices are coming down on these, and I almost purchased one. I gave my mechanic a call and he said, no, do not get the pre-facelifts, they are shit. And so I knew I have to get the facelifts version. And I genuinely think they are still pretty overpriced. Now, this is the 5th Audi I've ever owned. I had a original Audi TT, the first generation, and then I had a B8.5 Audi A5 with the 3-liter turbo diesel. God, I miss that car. And then I had an RS5, and then I had an A6, which it was an absolute disaster. I actually made a video breaking down what happened to that car. If you want to go and check it out, definitely go and check out the link here, or I post it down below on the description. And then this is my 5th Audi. 8 years ago, I was actually working as a detailer, and I had an amazing opportunity to actually submit code a few of these when it first came out brand new back in 2016. And I remember when I first saw this car, I was genuinely impressed. And just the whole concept of it, putting a insane engine on a small hatchback like this, especially the engine, it came out from a Lamborghini V10, literally chopped it in half and slammed it into one of these small hatchback. The whole concept, the sound of it is insane, and I knew at the time I have to get one of these down the line, and here I am. And this is my sort of beat up 2018 Audi RS3. Now, this car has done 116,000 kilometers, and to be honest, it is not even that high. But in Australia, it's kind of weird because for European cars, especially cars like this, the value just falls off a cliff the moment it hit 100,000 kilometers. And people think, oh, you know, like the car is gonna blow up, it's gonna fail eventually. They have like that kind of mindset. And to me, like being a tight ass, I don't see the value of spending extra $10,000, $20,000 just to have a lower mileage examples, because I'll just be anxious. I'll be worried about the moment it hit 100,000 kilometers and the value would just fall off a cliff. I'd rather have a higher mileage examples as long as the service records are all up to date, and just drive it in peace and not worry about the amount of kilometers that I'm gonna put on this car. So with that being said, I'm gonna take you guys on a tour. All right, let's start the tour of my car. So this has done, obviously this has done a bit of mileage, and you can see a bit of battle scars. Now, the good thing about this car is it has all the specs that I want. I want a 1-in hatch specifically. I do think the sedans looks good, but I do like the hatches more. Now, people think otherwise. People want the sedans more. I like the hatch. Now, to really find out the full list of the options that is on this car, unlike Mercedes, you can't actually use a VIN decoder to decode all of the list of options. Instead, they will actually have a build sheet that is found either on the owner's manual or on the spare tire well. Now, so I had to decode a bunch of different options and cross-reference it to redbook.com.au or Audi's official handout. Now, and this is what I know so far. Now, as for the paint, it has Panther Black paint instead of Mythos Black, which I absolutely love. On some angles, it looks like Midnight Purple, and on some angles, it has a hinge of metallic green, but overall, if you stand back, it's actually black. RS Performance Package, which includes a bunch of things like the Bang & Olufsen sound system and a bunch of other stuff. Now, panoramic sunroof, extended high gloss black package, privacy glass, red calipers, wireless charging, and I'm sure it has a bunch of other options as well, but as far as I'm concerned, now these are the options that I like that it has. It's just so practical, right? I moved house recently, and I was able to fit 2 queen mattresses, a bunch of things, and still have room for one more person to be in the car. So going around Obviously, I haven't washed it. I've driven about a week now, and I put a bunch of case in it, and it's a bit dirty now, but it will all come out pretty good. I do want to do a paint correction and a ceramic coating on it just to make the black color pop out a little bit. And so let's talk about like the different battle scars, right? At the back, someone has reversed into this, so like it has a bit of ding here and there. There's a bit of dent here, and one thing that really kind of annoys me a little bit, and this is common across all 8V.5 platforms, is actually like the daytime running lights. You can see it's getting a little bit yellowish, and on this side, now because of the sun, you can't see. This part is actually burnt, right? It kind of looks orangey. It looks a bit burnt. This is like one of the battle scars that it has. Now, the most important bit, overall, it is basically an A3 with a beefed up engine. The main party trick here is actually the 5-cylinder engine. Now, the difference between the pre-facelifts and the facelifts, and this is actually pretty big, is actually the engine itself. Now, this codenamed the Desert, which is the most important part. The facelift's Desert engine actually has port injection and direct injection at the same time, so I don't have to really worry about the carbon buildup in one of these. So this is actually the main powerhouse of this car, and it sounds amazing. The one really interesting thing about this car is on the hatch, on the spare tire section, like you will expect a spare tire here, but actually it's the Bang & Olufsen subwoofer, which I thought it was really interesting. So instead of a spare tire, you actually have a tire inflator, connect it to a 12 volt, and it will and you can actually pump up your tires, which I think it's really interesting. So when the seats fold down, you can actually fit a lot of things, which I actually like. Now, someone actually made a comment of this car looking, it's like a hatch slash wagon, because it's not long enough to be a wagon and it's not short enough to be like a hot hatch, which I think is actually pretty unique. Yeah, overall decent condition. So now moving inside, the moment you get into the car, you know, like it's all pretty standard stuff, semi-bucket seats. And when you get in, it will greet you with the digital dash. And obviously, being a facelift, this is also really important, is the what Audi call like the virtual cockpit. So let's give it a start. And I love how when you start up, the exhaust actually pops up a little bit. It will tell you like you have an RS3 instead of an A3. So you have. I like it has the updated MMI, so I was able to connect to Apple CarPlay and all the good stuff. You have the RS flat bottom steering wheel, which I absolutely love, and you have like the sunroof. Now, one thing about this car being a higher mileage car is like the interior sort of like it creaks a little bit, especially the sunroof. It rattles, it creaks, and apparently like it's a pretty common thing. You have to regularly like grease up the rails or somewhere along these lines, and it has a tiny bit of a rattling around the dash, but overall, you know, like overall for 116,000 kilometers, it actually drives just like brand new. Now, I don't know how true is this. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comment section down below. Apparently, like the hatch actually sounds tad a bit better than the sedans. I don't know what is it, but being 2018 without the OPF. Now, this is the last year that it came without the OPF. OPF is a filter in the exhaust to basically muffle the sounds for emissions. You have that different emission stuff. Apparently, the 2018 version is actually the last year of this car that actually doesn't have the OPF. So the exhaust do sound really good. Okay, so now let's talk about the things I do not like about this car, and there's actually quite a list of them. Number one, right, is the key. Now, when I was picking up this car, I was expecting minimum the A4, A5 keys, right? They share the same key as the Lambo. I was actually expecting that, and when he actually passed me the key, I was genuinely shocked. And apparently, all 8Vs comes with this key, a key blade. I was genuinely okay. Just imagine this: if you are spending $80,000 to $100,000 on a brand new car in 2018, right? BMW already got like the screen keys. You know, like they have this keyless thing, but for this car, you have a Volkswagen keyblade. Now, when I had my Audi TT, now that car was 2001. It have the exact same key, right? This key, the only difference is that it has the RS badge. That's about it. This has the same key as a Mark 5, as a Mark 6, right? I'm genuinely like, this is really disappointing for this car. I do not like about this bit at all. The second is the exhaust. The exhaust, it has a really fancy flap on the muffler tips, and it's for emissions. So the moment when you start it, it'll open up for like a brief second to make that car like crack and pop for like 0.5 seconds, and then afterwards it will stay closed. And the exhaust will only open up not fully, only a certain part throughout like the rev range. Obviously, like the higher RPMs that you go, and then it will open up as like you go along. It's a really weird system. Now, and I had an Audi RS5, and that exhaust will actually stay open all the time. Different driving settings, dynamic, it will actually open up fully. But for this car, it actually closes and opens based on your RPM, and it has actually the sound actor, which is the basically a speaker to stimulate the engine noise for this car. And I do not like about this bit at all. And apparently some people, they will disconnect the flaps, it will throw a code and it will make less power. So apparently, like if I do a tune, it will make the exhaust flap stay open all the time. I don't know exactly how that works, but I do not like the exhaust at all, right? I'm fairly sure this comes with a sports exhaust. If the exhaust flaps just stays open all the time, this car will sound amazing. Now, the third thing that I do not like about this car is the DSG. It works great at a higher rev range, but low speeds, it is absolutely garbage, right? It jerks, like it doesn't fully engage in slower speeds. When you're going uphill, it's sort of like going like rocking like back and forth a little bit, and at lower speeds when it shifts, it feels like, you know how when you change gears on a manual car, it's like you don't fully like go off your clutch at lower speeds, and it's sort of like want to grab and don't want to grab. Now, speaking of which, I had a A5 with the 3-liter turbo diesel with the DR501 DSG gearbox. That was beautiful, right? I had the RS5. That is a DSG as well. It was beautiful. And I had an A6 which also has the same gearbox. It's absolutely beautiful, right? It shifts beautifully, low speeds, like it wasn't jerky at all. Now, for some reasons, now this car's DSG is absolutely garbage, right? Apparently, a TCU tune will fix that, together with the stage 1 tune will fix the exhaust flap as well. So, you know, like I might be doing that in the future. All right, now, the fourth thing I do not like about this car, now this drives a lot like a Golf. I had a Mark 6 Golf, and I've driven several different variations of Golf before. It makes Golf noises, right? I mean, underneath it is the same MQB platform, but it genuinely feels like a Golf with a fancier engine, right? And it makes Golf noises like on the lower rev range. It drives almost like a Golf. It is a fancier Golf, right? And that's the fourth thing that I do not like about this car. And the fifth thing that I do not like about this car is actually the sunroof. The sunroof, like, I don't know if it needs to be re-greased, but it sort of like creaks and rattles a little bit. I'm in Sydney now. We don't have the best roads, and you can literally hear the creaks and things going from like it's coming from the sunroof. All right, and the sixth thing that I do not like about this car is the cold start, right? I had a CLS 63 AMG, and the cold start was beautiful. Right? I don't care if after it's warm up it doesn't sound as good, but I absolutely love cold starts. My RS5 doesn't have the best cold starts as well, but this is just another level. So what I'll do in my RS5 is, before actually starting the car, I'll push start first to get it into the on position. I will cycle it through to dynamic to make sure the exhaust flap is on, and then I'll start the car, and oh my god, the car sounds amazing. I tried doing this on this car, and this car just sounds like it's underwhelmed. I do like through like cycling through dynamic, and I was hoping to have the aggressive cold start, and I got a muffled cold start. it's underwhelming. It is genuinely underwhelming. And the last bit, the seventh thing that I don't like about this car is, you know, like if I'm spending $80,000 to $100,000 on a brand new car, example, if I were buying this car brand new back in 2018, if I'm spending that money, I will actually be expecting electric seats. It doesn't have electric seats. It's manual seats, right? You have to turn like this handle. You have to turn this handle down here manually. You have to pull this one manually to actually adjust the seats back and forth. It's disappointing. But one thing I do like about it is actually it has heated seats, right? That's one thing I did not expect from this car, because it's ultimately like it's a fancy A3 or fancy Golf if you're a little bit pessimistic. But overall, this car, overall these are the things I do not like about this car, but I love this car, right? This car, it is awesome. It is extremely fast, and I'm this close of losing my license just because of it. I will just at the lights, foot down, go, and I'm redoing 90, right? All right, let's go for a drive. Now, disclaimer, like I'm on a private road and I do not condone speeding, so make sure do not speed at all times. Especially in Australia, I practice safe driving. So with that being said, let's put my seat belt and let's cycle to dynamic, so we get the full driving experience. And also one small thing I don't like about this car is actually it feels really numb. The steering, it feels really numb. It doesn't feel like you are going fast at all, especially even in dynamic. So yeah, let's put it in manual. Start stop. I do not like the start stop mode at all. So with that being said, let's go. Just did a quick pull. This car is insane. Yeah, what a car. Now, even in dynamic, this car doesn't actually, it is not as, the suspension actually is not as hard as some cars it will. I remember like on my CLS 63 AMG, like it is extremely harsh when you put it in Sports Plus mode, especially with the different suspension settings. But this, even in dynamic, is actually like not too bad. Let's do another pull. I love this car so much. And again, I'm on a private road, and do not speed, wear your seatbelt, follow your local road laws at all times. Now, as the price of this car, facelift RS3 at this time, a 2018 Audi RS3, which this car is, they still hold their price pretty well. On car sales, they still go for about $60,000 to $70,000. Now, $70,000 being like the really pristine example, they've done under 50,000 kilometers, and then obviously you have like done like between 50 to maybe like 80,000 kilometers. They still go for about 60-ish. Now, for mine, originally like this car listed for $53.6 thousand. Now, when I had a look at this car, when I go and have a look, there's a bit of a minor cosmetic damages here and there. Obviously, like it has done a bit of case, and I offered him 51.5, which I do think is a really reasonable offer. And then he countered it with like 52. I was like, without the damage, the cosmetic damage, I would have paid 52. So he actually offered to fix the damage. It has a bit of a dent on the bonnet. I do not have a picture, unfortunately. It seems like something has fallen onto the front of the bonnet. So there's a deep scratch on the front bar. So he offered to actually fix that, and he's like, yep, $52,000 to get all of that fixed. So so I paid $52,000 for this car, which is actually on the lower end of the market for facelifted 2018 Audi RS3, which I do think is pretty good for the amount of options that is on this car. It does have like the options that I want, which is like the sunroof, black, the carbon fiber, the sound system, the adaptive cruise control, yada yada, like the boring stuff, the boring trim pieces, which I do think is like a pretty good deal, like $52,000. Like bottom of the barrel, on the cheaper end, and higher case, and that's how I roll, because now I do not have to worry about whether or not if I'm going to put a bunch of Ks in this car, because the prices have already fallen off the cliff past 100,000 kilometers. So now I can just actually this to be a driver's car. So okay, so now let's talk about plans for this car. Now it is a little bit numbing. It is not as aggressive that I thought it would, even though like this car is already like really fast. I do actually want to get a stage 1 tune, and not only a stage 1 tune, I actually want to tune like the TCU as well, because to get rid of that low speeds, it is just awful to it is just absolutely awful to drive. So my mechanic said a stage 1 and a TCU tune will actually fix that, so I'm gonna do that. And also I want to get wheels as well. I do like the rotor wheels, but I do not like these wheels at all. Like these wheels, to me, I think it's hideous. I'm hoping to. I'm still shopping for wheels, so I definitely want to get wheels and tires done. But even before all of that, I'm gonna get a service. I'm gonna do a service. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna change the engine oil, the transmission oil, and diff. So that way I have that peace of mind when I drive this car. With that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do actually give me a support by hitting like, subscribe, hit the bell. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I will see you all next time.